This story begins on the distant mountain Yuntai, namely in the cave of explosive frogs, where a guy discovered one of them and immediately attacked. The young man did not waste any time, so he instantly blew off her head with just one blow. Immediately, the voice of the system was heard, which reported that he had killed a baby explosive frog and was receiving experience points. His spell resistance is now 41.5%. Then she added that, in total, he killed 6,926 otherworldly creatures. Our hero defeated so many monsters in just a year of being in this cave. 3 years later, the system announced that he had killed 5 adult explosive frogs and received 10 experience points. His spell resistance is now 62.23%. Total number of frogs killed is 28,926. After 5 years, his spell resistance was 70.62%. The total number of frogs killed was 53,682. After 10 years, which flew by in a flash, his resistance to the spell was already 99.79%. The young man thought to himself that only stability would help him finish off that evil magician who hid him in this devilish place, and then he would get out of this absolutely unsafe world. When the Frog King was defeated, the system reported that his spell resistance had reached 100%. The total number of creatures killed is 164,250. Received a new rank, Master Hunter. The young man was angry and thought to himself how everything happened exactly like this. 10 years ago, a guy was just sitting at the computer and playing one of the games, where he lost again. He was simply shocked because he played for 3 whole days and 3 nights, and he couldn't even pass the first level. The damn boss wizard Guandi keeps killing him. When he decided to try again, a notification appeared that said if you can't pass this level, you can download the program and have the opportunity to skip it. The young man decided that they wanted to deceive him and simply pump him out of money. But this would not work with him, so he rejected the offer. Then I started typing the word plugin into the search engine in order to find the one I needed. Having found what he needed, the gamer muttered that the damned magician who killed him 99 times at the end of the level would definitely die this time. When he downloaded it and started installing it on his computer, inexplicable things began to happen around him. At first, the young man thought it was some kind of virus, but then a hand appeared from the monitor. An unknown force grabbed him tightly and began to drag him into the computer. The guy couldn't understand what was happening at all. On the other side of the screen, he was greeted and called an adventurer. This world consists of 9 planets. There are gods and demons, as well as power and laws. These words seemed familiar to the young man. If he remembers correctly, then the next step will be a story about a planet that was destroyed because of the gods. Next, it was announced that its starting point was Mistra. It was once home to a thriving civilization, but due to the wrath of the gods, the planet was bombarded for 3 days and nights. She was wiped off the face of the earth. Our hero was finally convinced that he was in the game. Under the influence of magical powers, more and more people and animals are turning into monsters. People can only survive by playing cruelly. The guy exclaimed that there was no need to joke with him like that. He can't play anything. Isn't it worse to go to another world yourself? Let him come back. He won't play anymore. But the system only added that the adventure is about to begin. After which, the young man suddenly flew down somewhere. As he flopped to the ground, he thought that he had been too carried away by this game lately. He really dreamed of getting into it. If you continue like this, the King of Thunder and Lightning will take him away. Suddenly, information about himself appeared in front of the guy. Name is Roger, 24 years old. Attributes: Strength, 9. Constitution, 9. Agility, 11. Perception, 12. Intelligence, 11. Charisma, 9. Learns Chi technique, hides in the city. While the guy couldn't believe that he was really seeing all this, red-horned rats appeared to his left. Golden birds and the huge dragon, Sinhei, flew overhead. After what he saw, he was simply speechless. It dawned on him that he was no longer in the real world. His parents will be alarmed when they find out he has disappeared. While some creatures were rushing towards him, the young man thought that later they would call the police, and then they would check his computer. Finally sensing someone's presence, the young man looked back and saw a terrible monster with an open mouth. Roger shouted that he just clicked on the program. Is it necessary to torture him like that now? Moreover, when others travel in space and time, it's cool. But here, he should throw away his skates or something. Although if he dies, he might be able to return home. After some time, the guys noted that this man was dressed strangely. Why did he save him and bring him to the city? The guy replied that if they were in his place, they would have done the same. When asked what was so unusual about him, the young man replied that he killed 10 zombies alone. A young man was delivering a shipment of grain through a place where zombies often feed. Usually it is very loud there, but at that moment it was quiet. Looking around, he found this guy among a mountain of corpses. His majestic pose and generally such an unusual scene simply shocked him. Most likely, he fought furiously with the corpses, exhausted his physical strength, and fell asleep on the spot. The young man has such skills at such a young age. There are still brave knights. Our hero thought to himself that the corpse fell first and served as a soft pillow for him, so he did not fall to death when he fell from the cliff. A true adventurer should have such luck, after which the young man stood up and thanked Scene for his help. The guy was surprised that he knew him. Our hero muttered that he was the captain of the city guard team, whom everyone knew from 100 miles away. The young man exclaimed that it was just his duty, so there was no need to admire him so much. The guy noted to himself that if you said that in every game there is a guard named Scene, would he be very upset? He thinks he would be good at infiltrating their company. Skillfully purchased suitable equipment from various stores in the city. Since there is no turning back, he must become stronger and defeat the boss who caused him so much trouble. If you still can't leave the game, then you'll finish it. Therefore, the young man will kill everyone he meets on his way. For example, a mushroom multiplies quickly. The system notified that, as a bonus, he received a tenfold increase in his ability. Our hero was extremely outraged by this because this is all complete nonsense. In this case, you will have to play here until you die. Having sat down directly on the frog, he was indignant that if he continued in the same spirit, the boss would simply kill him. What to do? Suddenly, a system alert appeared, which reported that the magic frog had been killed, and spell resistance had been improved. The young man was very surprised at first, but then he stood up and saw that he had unknowingly killed a small creature. He then shed tears and thanked her for sacrificing herself to set him on the right path. Now, the young man will slaughter her entire family and never let her down, because how can he give up? 10 years later, when spell resistance was increased to 100%, the guy couldn't believe that this day had finally come. The game is just beginning. Meanwhile, the girl placed an advertisement on the table and stated that she was applying to destroy the demon Shelob. The man objected that this demon was too dangerous, so he could not participate. She countered that monsters could kill anyone. When the little girl screamed that she wanted to finally take revenge for her brother, our hero realized that it was Dorothy. He immediately remembered Scene, who allowed him to live with them, provided him with a roof over his head, and gave him clothes. It was this man who helped him survive the most difficult moments during the early stages of his journey, but he never managed to thank him. A friend wanted to go monster hunting with him to see his skills, but did not expect the demon to be so strong. His request before he died was that Roger take care of his sister. The baby was crying with grief, and our hero tried to calm her down and said that everything would be fine. He noted to himself that he would definitely kill this demon with his own hands and avenge him. Only then did he realize how terrible this game was. Although the guy is a traveler like everyone else, his 6 attributes are much stronger than those of ordinary people, but there is still an abyss between him and professional players. Therefore, you shouldn't just wave your fists. You need to gradually improve, accumulate strength, and then show yourself. And now, 10 years later, he is no longer the same as before. Then the man noticed that Roger had come and told her to hurry up in order to convince her. The girl was immediately indignant that he had really come to dissuade her, but the young man replied that no, he also came to submit an application. The man replied that, okay, but many adventurers underestimate this trip, so they came up with a preliminary task. Once completed, it will give them detailed information about the corpse demon. The guys asked in surprise what other task. It turned out that by this testing, he meant that it was necessary to deal with the corpses of the Red Tide. The system notified that if you kill 3 Red Tide corpses of the 4th level, then pain resistance will be increased. Roger decided that this attribute was worth getting. It's just a shame that these otherworldly creatures can't reproduce, but increasing pain resistance before leaving makes sense. The vision technique shows a bloody cloud rising ahead. It seems that Canyon is full of monsters. There must be Red Tide corpses there. When an hour had passed, the girl sat and thought about what a slow young man he was. Before leaving, he told her that although the Red Tide Corpse Queen was not as good as a corpse monster, it was an elite level 5 demon. Let Dorotai prepare the weapon while he makes the potion. But so much time has passed, and our hero still has not appeared. Let him just try to deceive her again. At this time, the young man reached the right place and noted that this was a nest of corpses, but there were few of them there, about 30. The thickest bloody cloud is in the tent. However, the Red Tide corpses have no soul and no intelligence. How could they put up a tent? Maybe after death, they developed mental abilities. Destroying these monsters would be more difficult than he thought. Then I remembered a bottle with a highly concentrated polymer element. Magic concentration is 9. Within the explosion radius, lightning damage is 80%. This small bottle is obtained from the fatty glands of almost 1,000 magical demons. Now everything depends on her. After which, a cart with the corpses of some creatures that looked like pigs rolled out in the center, and the demons rushed towards it. The guy noted that this good horned pork is now being slaughtered. Let them eat everything and leave nothing behind. Taking advantage of the fact that they were all gathered in one place, our hero threw a bottle in their direction, which hit the bull's eye and tore everyone apart. Going down, he noted that he had killed 28 corpses in one fell swoop. A very worthy potion and very reliable. When the system alert appeared about how many demons he had killed, Roger wondered why there was no message that their boss had been killed. Then in the thick smoke, I saw 2 red eyes. When the monster struck, the young man thought that the substance from the bottle had gotten into him. What was happening? The otherworldly creature did not waste time, so it got on all fours and began to blow our hero with an unknown magical force. Roger noted that this is a powerful acid cloud technique. This must be an elite monster. But unfortunately for him, this does not work on him. But then he suddenly began to feel sick, and he noted to himself how long this creature had been living here. His breath stinks horribly. While the young man was thinking about all this, the monster ran up to him and abruptly threw him to the ground, after which she stated that there was something in him, since he was not afraid of her acid-breathing technique. No wonder he dared to enter the corpse territory alone. The guy was surprised that she could speak, which means she has a mind. It was no coincidence that his bottle of the element did not blow her up. There must be an explanation for this. The monster said that since he was expecting something more, now she will show him something. After which the hand of the otherworldly creature began to increase in size, and after that it completely exploded. She then noted out loud that no one had ever been able to stop her corpse-exploding technique. But suddenly, Roger appeared, who was safe and sound, and said that he was shocked. This corpse is really powerful. He is curious how she managed to do this, and it stinks so much inside and outside. The Queen of Corpses was indignant. I mean, it stinks. Does he really think that her attack is just stinking and that's all? When the young man clarified, well, what, isn't it? The monster shouted that it was simply impossible. So he was lying. Let him die now. They have a big difference in strength, so he is simply not worthy of her attention. The young man replied that high-level players who kill low-level monsters are limited in experience and rewards. Therefore, he suppressed his level just to refresh his magic resistance power. The young man saved up experience points, and finally, they came in handy. Now you could update your level. A moment later, it was announced that his level had been raised to level 6, and all of his stats had also been improved. While the monster did not understand what was happening, our hero declared that he accidentally turned out to be stronger than her. When the Queen of Corpses was neutralized, the system notified that he had killed an elite monster for the first time and showed what he was capable of. His pain tolerance is increased. Then came his favorite part, the treasure hunt. The inside of the tent stank even worse than that monster. How many monsters were sacrificed there? The system informed him that he could receive 6,000 copper coins and 1 piece of mithril. Roger noted that he could buy a pumpkin for 2, a pig for 60, and a weapon for 200. After 10 years of hard work, he did not expect that he would be able to eat pumpkin in peace. Is this really the happiness of a rich man? Then the young man's attention was drawn to the ring that was lying in the nightstand. It was a suicide ring. His spell is a strong, burning storm. The technique, based on suicide, forms 3 cyclones, burning all living things within its radius. The young man noted that it is not surprising that it is called a suicide ring. It was simply created for him. However, this is a spell that activates magic. The mage students of Tonma City don't seem to know him. Perhaps someone from the City of Gems knows something. After a while, Dorothy stated that it means he met the corpses of the Red Tide while collecting medicine and killed everyone. Roger asked her not to be angry because he also wants to fight side by side with her, but such an opportunity does not come around very often. Besides, he wanted to test his strength. The girl replied that, okay, since he is safe and sound, he forgives this time. But she didn't think that he could kill these monsters alone. Simply amazing. But it gives confidence in their campaign against the corpse demon. The guy said that there was no need to worry, because they could handle it. After some time, Miller said that he had already heard about how many monsters he had defeated. He has something for him. Then he opened the closet door. Picking up the sword, which had an ability called Execution, our hero noted that the color was very beautiful. And each of these weapons has its own ability, which is very cool. The gunsmith said that there was wood waste here, so he could test his sword. Let him try and understand everything. The guy immediately decided to test his special technique, so he warned him not to be upset if something breaks. While the blacksmith said that even if he demolishes half the house, it's okay. Our hero really did it. After which, he admired what a great sword it was. Seeing the girl, Roger said that she was just in time to come and look at his weapon. Dorothy said that it just so happened that she also had something to show. Information about the demon's corpse and a list of those who will be on the campaign. The young man was surprised how she managed to do it so quickly. The companion was indignant that he really still doubted her abilities. Then he began to tell me that there were only 35 people in this team. Among them are 3 in the vanguard, 19 in the rear, and 13 in the punitive detachment. The main forces have adventurers of level 10 and above. Others are also great adventurers in the city. They need this trip. The corpse demon is very cunning. The monsters near the lair are just bait. They are weak, so they must outsmart them. The first thing they must deal with is the winged beasts. There is also a monster with a snake head. Then they will reach the southern slope, which is located not far from the demon's lair. The destination is ahead. They just need to destroy his last 2 eyes, and then they will be able to capture the enemy's capital. But the ghostly guards are very perceptive, and approaching them will not be easy. If they break through by force, the snake will be easily frightened. When there was no answer to her story, the girl turned around and saw that he was not there. Then she looked down and saw a young man chasing some small creature. Some of those present didn't understand what Roger was even doing. The man explained that he was simply correcting the mistakes of his comrades. The escaped demon went straight to the tower as soon as it attracted the attention of the guards. Their plan failed. Meanwhile, our hero overtook him, shouting where he was going, and immediately neutralized him. After this, a system alert appeared that the rate of nasal hair growth had increased. The guy immediately noted to himself that it was not worth killing him. Then he realized that the ghostly guard could sense traces of life. If he takes a big step, he will be immediately exposed. One of the guys shouted that it was very bad. He has already attracted the attention of the guard. Maybe it's worth sending someone to cover. The girl objected that he would be exposed faster this way. You just need to watch. Meanwhile, our hero decided to neutralize the enemy from a long distance using a bow and arrow. He managed to hit the bull's eye. Thanks to the blessing of the wind, getting in was easy. The next step is to take out all the guards in the tower. There is no time to waste. Dorothy immediately exclaimed that he would not let them down. The guy muttered that it was too early to rejoice. According to intelligence, there are at least 3 ghostly guards in the tower, if not more. If one outside is dead, the guards inside must have sensed it. But to their great surprise, a white flag appeared on the top of the tower. This meant that Roger had captured her. Now you need to go to the East Tower to destroy the eyes of the demon corpse. Meanwhile, a system alert appeared, which reported that he had killed 3 ghost guards. The sword's healing speed has increased. Resistance to fear also increased. The young man noted that he should have thought about this earlier, but after all, it was just a tower. It doesn't make sense, though. His special ability reveals that there is a faint light there. Perhaps you can find something useful there. When he went down there, he again smelled a terrible smell. If anything, he would be better than the Red Tide's corpse. And then for some reason he decided that valuable things were hidden inside. They look pretty good, so he will get rich. But when the young man sharply pulled off the black blanket, he saw that underneath it lay a considerable number of skinless corpses. Roger screamed in horror because he didn't understand what it was all about and jumped back sharply. And when I turned my head to the right, I saw that in the closet the skin of these unfortunate people was hanging on hooks. It dawned on him that people who had been disappearing from the city for many years had been caught and had been here all this time. The guy didn't feel anything like this while playing this game, but the truth lives in such a world. He has to face similar evil. It's very scary. Suddenly, there was a powerful explosion, and the entire room was enveloped in thick, gray smoke. After this, a voice was heard that stated that the quality of the current adventurers left much to be desired. However, he sees his silhouette. Such smooth lines and such a waist. Let him turn around and let him look at himself from the front. After our hero turned around, the demon said that he was very handsome. The skin must be very elastic. When the young man hissed whether this was all his doing, the monster clarified whether he meant this material. His craft is actually pretty good. It is not so easy to remove all the skin entirely. The knife must be in excellent condition so that it slides easily between the fat and the skin. If you are careless, then everything will go down the drain. Young girls have the highest quality skin. It is impossible for a person to die while he's tearing off all the skin, so the material will not be fresh. After these words, our hero sharply struck him with a sword, but the demon sharply dodged and said that he really couldn't wait to become his work of art, after which he made a powerful attack right at the place where the young man stood. But this did not cause any damage to Roger, so the otherworldly creature stated that it was quite good to withstand his blow. However, he will not defeat him with his fist. He will not be able to cause any harm at all. However, it turned out that the creature was deeply mistaken. Our hero was so angry that he struck one after another, almost without stopping. The monster tried to stop him and asked him not to do this again, but the guy did not listen to him. Then he abruptly turned into a girl and declared that he was in fact his neighbor, which made the young man freeze in surprise. after which he sharply used a second-level spell, a flame that burns mountains and rivers. The demon doesn't know what he used to counter his spells. However, this flame technique takes many years to master. She has destructive power. No matter how much power the young man has, he will still burn to the ground. Roger will say goodbye to his life, even if he has no doubts. But the demon was wrong again, as the young man materialized in front of one, safe and sound. After a short period of time, a system notification appeared that he had killed the Blood Mage's apprentice. Reward, +5 to experience. He receives 87 bronze coins, 13 magic scrolls, 1 bag, 1 bottle of dragon acid, 1 magic rope, and also an encyclopedia of universal spells, which are the spells of that same magician. Although he won, he cannot say that he is happy. In the village of newcomers, he killed minor wizards for 10 years and almost forgot how cruel this world is. This place is not for weaklings, so you need to get stronger. After some time, the guys discussed that they could not return, and there was a swamp ahead. This is a dead end. You can only go here without equipment. What to do now? Hearing stomping behind them, they turned around and saw that those monsters were still chasing them. Meanwhile, our hero could not understand why the others had not yet arrived. But the city's flag was already on top of the South Tower. Then he saw the ball and noted that this could not happen in the wild. Dorothy must still be there. The girl reported that the corpse demon fled to the grave field. We can't let them go so easily. They will stop them and let him follow them. The young man wondered how he escaped. Perhaps the demon foresaw them going on a campaign. But this cannot be true. But if you really want to escape, then the place where the bones are buried is located not far from a giant forest, but it's definitely impossible to be alone there. We need to catch up with him. Meanwhile, the guys tried to fight off the attackers. Uncle Terry began to say that their combat effectiveness was at an average level. But he didn't have time to finish his thought, as one of the creatures sharply wounded him in the forearm. The guys shouted for the others to cover them, as it was necessary to treat his uncle. One of them exclaimed that they were simply endless. If you kill one, 2 more appear from the ground. His weapon doesn't work. After several hours of battle, their number only doubled. Even if they don't kill them, they will be exhausted to death. The girl noted that the creature did not run away from them, but deliberately brought them here. She underestimated the corpse demon and put everyone in a hopeless situation. What to do now? The largest of all opponents approached her and began to deliver blows, from which she had difficulty dodging. The man shouted for her to run away from there. Dorothy would like to do this, but her strength has run out. Now she finally understands the difficult situation her brother was in. She cannot avenge him, but she wants it so badly. Suddenly, there was a powerful explosion, and this huge number of corpses was engulfed in flames. The guys did not understand what was happening, but it seemed that someone was helping them, since this did not look like a trick by their opponents. It turned out to be our hero, who shouted for them to make him stronger. He will never leave his friends. The spirit of Sane is watching them all the time. He will never be a person who doesn't keep his word. The guys recognized Roger by his voice and couldn't believe their eyes what he was capable of. He simply fried them all without leaving a trace. One of them suggested that maybe he is the same legendary true dragon who is not afraid of flame. Could it be that their enemies were destroyed so quickly? It's even hard to believe. The girl volunteered to go check out what was really going on there. When Dorothy came closer, the guy said that it was necessary to wet the enemy's bones and collect all the ashes so that they could not rise again. The girl carefully asked if it was Roger, after which something happened that made her scream. The guys immediately realized that something was wrong here, so they ran in their direction, pointed their swords at our hero and asked who he even was. Let him not move. It turned out that the young man stood with his butt bare and said that he was a little embarrassed, but his clothes burned to the ground. When one of them gave him his clothes, the guy thanked him. The young man replied that if it weren't for him, they would already be lying among a mountain of bones. They couldn't let their benefactor return home naked. The girl exclaimed that he was simply amazing. Let him tell how he did it. In an instant, he fried everyone, including the corpse demon. Our hero replied that this was not his merit, but simply an accident. He noted to himself that although the burning storm is a second-level magical technique, it is not enough to kill the corpse demon in a matter of seconds. In addition, the system did not notify about the victory over him. Noticing the red aura, the young man stated that there were still monsters there. Let all the guys rest for now, he will go check what is happening there, and who else needs to be dealt with. When he saw one of them, the guy noted that there was one more problem left. It is obvious that this corpse still has some strength left. But suddenly, out of the thick smoke, a huge black hand began to reach towards the young man. Hearing the sounds of a struggle, the girl screamed that something was clearly happening there. We need to help him. But suddenly, the ground turned into quicksand. They didn't need to move, otherwise they would only be pulled in more. The creature that materialized in front of them stated that the more they moved, the faster they were being sucked in. When they are destroyed, they will turn into his soldiers. It turns out there are so many good young skins here. It's a shame they're a little damaged. Terry exclaimed that Roger said that he had skinned all the people he had captured in recent years. Shameless demon. Even if they were buried alive, they would not allow him to skin them. The otherworldly creature took his head off with one wave of his hand, while saying that, "Stop talking. Who needs his old skin anyway?" Then he began to look at everyone present and mutter what other low-quality products were left here. The girl angrily screamed at him to tell him what he did to Roger. The demon noted that she had beautiful young female skin. With all due respect, I have never found such a wonderful product. In this case, everyone else is of no use to him at all. After which the quicksand began to completely pull everyone underground. Dorothy screamed for him to leave everyone alone and continued to fight with her. The demon told her to shut up and just follow him. But suddenly, our hero appeared from underground, who said that he had such crystal clear skin, so soft and snow-white. How could he not notice this? The demon noted that while he was in this puddle, his skin was not eroded at all. What a first-class talent! The girl cried that he scared her to death. She thought she would never see him again. The guy called her stupid and asked how he could let her face danger alone. Dorothy began to mutter that everyone just disappeared into quicksand, and she didn't know what would happen to her next. The young man pointed somewhere to the side and said that there was no need to worry because they were fine. When he arrived, he gathered them all. Also, he won't let her fight alone for long. At any time, even if he is not around, because they will have to meet again. The otherworldly creature could not stand it and declared that he was still smart enough to flirt. Does he even understand who is standing in front of him? Our hero replied that, of course. Since Geen left, I think about him all the time. So many years have passed. They finally met. The demon turned and asked, "Is this really a trivial story of revenge again?" Since he is bored, the monster will be merciful and send him to him. The young man objected that he wanted this too. He wants the demon to apologize to him personally. Then he grabbed the blade and ran towards him. The monster said that now they would see what he was capable of. Let him not let him down. When the young man struck the first blow, the demon was surprised that this was the 8th level, because his magic was at the 2nd. This is all, of course, very interesting, but still he is hardly worthy of being his opponent. When the demonic creature wanted to strike a second blow, it did not find our hero in front of it. A young man materialized behind him and asked where he was staring. Then he launched a rain of sparkling arrows at him. The demon asked what was the point of repelling attacks if their strength was not equal. Roger objected that, actually, that's not all. Then he began to strike with his Akatsuki sword, but the demon easily caught him with his bare hands. The young man noted that he should not be so strong. The otherworldly creature said that this was all child's play, and he was already tired of playing. Then he clenched his fist and the weapon began to crack. Then he threw our hero aside and added that now it was his turn to demonstrate strength, after which lightning attacks rained down on our hero, which were very difficult to dodge. From the very place where the blow fell, the voice of the system began to be heard, which notified that Roger had reached the 10th, then the 11th, then the 12th level. The demon did not understand how this was possible. This means that his experience suppresses the level. By maintaining his strength, he can confuse his opponent. It improves towards the end of the battle, using a surge of energy to deal the final blow to the enemy. A good strategy when facing the enemy. The guy said that he was half right. To deal with ordinary monsters, you can use the attribute. But for a high-level monster like him, he needs attribute and boost for 1 minute. Level up 4 levels, use 4 impulses, and use the sword of the decade. His weapon reached the 8th level of impulse. The creature grinned and asked if he was really trying to intimidate him now. "It won't work," the young man said with sarcasm in his voice. "Really? Then let him try a 900% power attack." As a result, being left without one arm, the demon asked who he even was. Not only does his attacks differ, he can also ignore them. His strength is unusual. Roger asked what was the point of chatting in vain. He only needs to know who he is, namely the man who will kill him. The monster said that he was deeply mistaken. Even if he dies, the guy will follow him. Then he summoned the flames of purgatory. Our hero at first muttered that this attack was too weak for him, but then he realized that it was aimed at Dorothy. If he dodges, she will be in danger. Therefore, he took the entire blow upon himself. But for unknown reasons, he felt pain, although it was a spell. The otherworldly being asked if this was unexpected enough. He still has many attacks in reserve. Without allowing our hero to figure out what to do next, the corpse demon summoned hundreds of copies of the Asura to tear him into pieces. The young man noted that this was very stupid. Does he really think that, knowing that this trick is useless, Roger will leave? Then he shouted that he was still alive and dealt a crushing blow, cutting the enemy in half. Scene did not die in vain. Now our hero will pierce his enemy with a blade and destroy him. After his crushing blow, the otherworldly creature was simply torn apart. Dorothy immediately ran up to him and asked if everything was okay, because he was bleeding from his mouth. The guy replied that yes. This kind of attack won't hurt him much. Perhaps I was just a little late. Then the young man turned his attention to his stomach and saw that he was still wounded and was bleeding. What a cunning demon after all. He discovered his resistance to magic and used a physical attack. No wonder he wanted to pull him along with him. Fortunately, he is resistant to pain. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to swing the sword. This game kills. After which, he began to fall exhausted to the ground. He thought that he could use the gaming experience and move on. But since he crossed the border, he learned that the content of the game was very different from the original. Everything is designed to torture him. Suddenly, screams began to wake him up that the sun had already risen. Let him wake up, otherwise he will be late for school. When the guy suddenly came to his senses, he saw a painfully familiar environment around him. This was his room. Everything remained exactly the same as before he got into the game. Mom appeared in the bedroom and noted that he had finally woken up. Let him go and have breakfast soon. The young man burst into tears, rushed to hug her, and said how he missed her. Then he asked where Dad was. He was missing him too. The woman replied that he had another hour to cook in the cauldron, so he would come soon. When asked what kind of cauldron, the mother replied that his father took the disappearance of his son very hard, and at first decided to find solace at the bottom of the bottle. However, unable to bear the grief, he jumped off the roof, but he fell on people passing by, from which they died. For this, Aid sentenced him to torture in the form of boiling in a hellish cauldron. Due to the fact that she lost her entire family in one day, she also decided to commit suicide. But my son will face a much more severe punishment, because it is all his fault. Masters New and Ma will take care of him. The creatures stated that they found a lot of pornographic materials in his possession. This is a serious crime. He is sentenced to daily castration for 5 hours a day for 300 years. Let the boy go after them. There is no point in resisting. Our hero tried to stop them and muttered that he would explain everything now. He suddenly came to his senses and screamed, which was not on purpose. He won't do this again. Not this. Dorothy exclaimed. What happened? Is it really a bad dream? But she is very glad that he came to his senses. After which she rushed to hug the young man and said that she thought she would never see him again. The guy thought that if it weren't for Dorothy, he would have already fed the worms. Fortunately, he was moved to the city, where he was able to recover. This is one of the advantages of the gaming world. When the system notified that he had killed a zombie demon and received 200 experience points, as well as a ghostly blade, the young man noted that he actually almost died because of this creature. The system continued that each attack of the ghostly blade has a 1% chance of permanently stealing mana from the enemy and appropriating it for itself. By filling the scale, you can activate the magic crit. Roger decided that now he needed to find a sorcerer to train a new ability on them. By the way, the girl found a letter from the spellcaster who killed him in a past life. It turned out that the zombie was closely related to him. Now it is clear why the battle was difficult. Resistance alone is not enough against him. He needs to level up, so he needs to train more. After which he went into the forest to destroy monsters, and the system only had time to notify about the acquisition of new abilities. For example, the Red Devil's vision has received a slight boost. He hunted down all the elite monsters around the city. So, for some time, this settlement can sleep peacefully, and he himself can leave it. Therefore, he left a letter to Dorothy, where he said that he had decided to go to the city of Baoshi. Having defeated the zombie, he realized more than ever that he needed to become stronger. After avenging Sane, she is all he has left. Let her behave well while he's gone. There is no need to worry about him as he will be back soon. The girl will be shocked by his strength. Dorothy began to cry with anger. Again, he spun some nonsense about 3 boxes long. She can handle it, but he got lost himself. Roger doesn't know how to cook or sew, but at Baoshi they quickly turn him around. Let the young man just try to die. She will resurrect him and then kill him again. Meanwhile, our hero was thinking that this was the first time in so many years that he was leaving the city. Now he will begin an independent life and Dorothy will rest. If it were real, it would be nice. After which I decided that I had enough of dreaming and that I needed to continue on my way. He has already begun to get used to this world. Maybe it's worth staying here. But the young man immediately realized that this was all nonsense. He must remember that he does not belong here, and the beauties around are just computer graphics. But suddenly, with a cry, "Watch out, some girl fell on him," after which she immediately asked him not to shout so much, because the gray gnome was chasing her. These guys are very dangerous, and if he finds them, they will become dead. They need to somehow get rid of him. Then the girl introduced herself, said her name was Rachel, and asked if he was hurt. The guy replied that everything was fine. It would heal before the wedding. The new friend said that it was great, after which she shouted to Mishas that he could go out, because it was safe here. When the big dragon appeared, she began to pet him and said that he was a good boy. He must have been very scared. The bad uncle has left, so you can return to the village and heal him. The young man guessed that she was an animal tamer. This creature is much more beautiful in reality. Then the girl asked what he was doing here anyway. Roger replied that he was an adventurer from the south who was heading to Baoshi. Rachel muttered that it means he needs to go to this city. The guy replied that yes, and asked how long it would take to walk. The girl replied that she was afraid that the problem was not one of time and distance. The dragon could probably get him across the big lake in a day if he had the strength. This lake is not only huge, but it is also a haven for monsters. Even in flight, it is difficult to avoid. In general, she can no longer stand here and chat with him. She needs to return to the Dragon's Tooth village. the halflings and gnomes have united, so the village is now in great danger. The young man asked if he could go with her. In addition, Misha's is seriously injured. The girl objected that it was dangerous. A grey gnome was chasing them. Besides, they don't know him, so they can't burden him. And when our hero said that Durgar is just a gnome, and it won't be difficult to deal with him, the girl said that there is no need to underestimate him. After that, he materialized behind him. At the last moment, the guy managed to jump to the side and exclaimed why she called this thug just a dwarf. Running away, Rachel said that they were called that before the Great Destruction, and later magical radiation turned them into this. She believes in her brother. Let him not die, as long as possible, so that the girl can escape. Our hero took his sword and muttered that, okay, it can be considered that this is the first test for a newbie like him. On the path of revenge, no one and nothing will stop him. Roger hit him, but it didn't damage him in any way. This big guy had armor instead of skin. But still, this creature was terribly unlucky to meet him. It was all over so quickly, he didn't even break a sweat. Immediately, a system alert appeared that he had killed the gnome, and his durability increased slightly. This attribute is no less important than spell resistance. It is responsible for resisting effects, such as pain, stunning, torpor, tossing, telekinesis. In short, this attribute is worth spending time on. That's why he goes to the gnomes. After some time, the guy found their lair. Judging by the search for life, there are about 2,000 of them. The guy didn't know whether to cry or rejoice. If he fights everyone at once, he is afraid that he will be turned into a chop. Then he began to check what attributes he had. The magic rope is complete nonsense for this. Rotten carrion may come in handy a little later. It is better to leave it for the hungry year. But then a system alert appeared that rotten meat contains a lot of bacteria that can cause diarrhea. The young man noted that this was simply brilliant. Impregnable fortresses are taken by pestilence. That is, as soon as they are weakened, he will destroy them all. There is only one source of water nearby. Durgar come to the watering hole every day and bring supplies to their comrades. Dipping the meat into the water, our hero noted that cadaveric poison would do its job. Now all that's left to do is wait. 3 hours later, when groans began to be heard from the cave, our hero realized that it was time to harvest. Once he was inside, he noted that the smell was such that it stung his eyes. These guys couldn't do their business right in the cave. What an abomination! When Roger saw that the creatures were lying on the ground, in an unconscious state, he wondered how old that piece of meat was. But in any case, it was necessary to bring the matter to an end. As he approached them with the knife, he heard breathing behind him, and turning around, I saw a crowd of monsters. The guy immediately realized that it was a trap. It turned out that they are quite smart and simply adhere to the quarantine rules. Literally moments later, huge fists flew at him from all sides, and the guy stated that the end had come for him. Fortunately, he had a considerable number of various attributes that could be used against them. When a very powerful explosion occurred, our hero himself did not understand what had happened. Why was it so strong? The system explained that the gnomes were experimenting with flammable substances, a large concentration of which could cause an explosion. The young man began to freak out. What kind of nonsense is this? This game is simply broken. When he gets out of here, he'll find this developer and throw him in the ditch, straight to his mother. After some time having come to his senses, our hero thought that this time he had definitely died. He remembers that he was torn into pieces, and after that, they don't come back. Then where is he now? In the afterlife, or returned to his own? But apparently not. Suddenly, a system alert appeared, informing him that he had killed 2,000 dwarves, and his durability level had increased significantly. Roger didn't understand how this was so. Was it really because of his resilience that the system was able to keep him alive? Although without treatment, he still would not have lasted long. The young man remembers that due to the explosion, a huge crevice appeared in the ground, into which he fell. Perhaps some mysterious person cured him. It seems that he saw some posts from developers on this topic. Suddenly, some creature appeared and said that this was true. It was he, Abba, who healed the guest's wounds. Our hero did not expect such a turn that he punched him and shouted for this pervert to take his hands off him. When he calmed down, the creature explained that it had taken him a long time to piece it together. Of course, if it weren't for his perseverance, nothing would have worked out for him. Roger apologized for his behavior and muttered that there was not a single wound on his body, and overall, he feels rested. Apparently, he really helped him. It just looks kinda strange. Who the stranger is? A robot or something? The creature exclaimed that how rude he was. He had completely forgotten to introduce himself. I haven't seen living people for a long time, so I forgot how to behave. His name is Abba. He is the elder mentor at the Chu Temple. The young man stated that this was an underground temple. It really looks abandoned. Abba also said that she hasn't met people for a long time, which means that only Roger is here now. The savior replied that there used to be many people here, but one day a messenger from the ruler of Talon arrived to them with a letter. Mentor Tsai Fen hurriedly left, and has not returned since then. The rest of the disciples also soon left the place, and those who remained died overnight. Only a little squirrel remained with him. But then she also died. He was so lonely all this time. The guy asked how it was that everyone died in one night. Does he remember exactly when this happened? Abba apologized for his extreme bad manners and said that he did not remember. Looking around, our hero noted that the building here was made in a rather restrained style. Maybe these people lived even before those explosions. Then he asked how long he had been underground. Has there always been a city here? The creature replied that he did not remember. To complete his latest assignment, he had to erase a lot of memory. Therefore, now my head is as empty as a barrel. After he hit himself on the head, something fell out and fell to the ground. Abba said it was a memory crystal. There are valuable memories of how he spied on his student sisters in the bathhouse. The hand did not rise to remove it. If he wants, he can also look. They are already lost in time, like tears in the rain. Even he no longer remembers their faces and voices. Even if it was rude to spy on them, he thinks it's better than letting them disappear from his memory, doesn't he? Roger noted that it was a pity that he could not read these memories. I would really like to at least get a glimpse of the world before. Suddenly, a system alert appeared, which said that a memory crystal had been detected. Should I use it? The guy exclaimed that these were just thoughts out loud. He doesn't want to look at long-dead students. Then he activated the memory crystal anyway. The feeling was cooler than VR. The smells and fog feel quite real. This is a real immersion. The past civilization was more advanced than them. His main goal is to learn their technology. You need to ask your sisters properly. As they say, teaching is light, not teaching is darkness. Then I saw some shadow and wondered what kind of strange silhouette it was. It turned out that it was the same huge gnome. Where did he even come from in the bathhouse? If he is from the ancient world, then shouldn't he be very tiny? Abba asked for forgiveness, because it was very rude of him to give the guest a cracked memory crystal. These big guests also fell from above. He completely forgot to offer them tea. How rude that is. Our hero immediately grabbed his sword and noted that it means that someone still managed to escape from him. Well, good. It will shake the bones a little. Suddenly, he heard Abba telling someone behind him that the dear guests should come and sit down, and he would bring tea. Roger began to freak out that these were not guests. What was he talking about? And when he turned around, he forgot all the words. The Duergar boss appeared before the young man, and their total number was 5,000. Our hero had no choice but to grab his friend and start running. But he said that he had a task that the creature must complete, even if it dies. Roger shouted that that's enough. He was trying to help him. It was in vain that I got these bruises. Abba countered that this task was more important than his life. The guy said to complete the task, you need to be alive. The robot said that the guest underestimates him. For him, these 5,000 dwarves are just an empty phrase. Our hero muttered, which seemed to him to be very loud. Abba explained that the temple was built a long time ago. It is equipped with incredible combat technologies. The main thing is to direct the energy where it is needed, and then the small devices will deal with 5,000 enemies. Only his energy is only enough to maintain vitality. The young man exclaimed why then it was necessary to tell all this. The robot added that if his respected guest helps him, then perhaps they will succeed. The guy asked to look at his face and added that, besides, he no longer had any energy. The new acquaintance objected that, no. When he treated him, he used energy. The guy can sense and absorb, which means he has chi energy. He also managed to read the memory crystal. He thought that Roger was an unusual person. If he doesn't believe it, then you can check something. The young man asked if it was possible to use a different gesture, but he replied that it was not important now. When the electrical discharges appeared, Abba exclaimed that he had not felt such chi for a long time. His body contains incredible strength. Let him answer his call, overcome the gates. Free yourself and unite with him. Our hero did not understand what it was all about. Is it really the sorcerer, King Granzort, or Evangelion? This game is already crossing all boundaries. Suddenly, the guy found himself in some strange place. Abba explained that this is the heart of the spirit in armor, and Roger must control it. He arrived at his call and the spirit will copy all his movements. He doesn't need to explain anything anymore. The enemies are right in front of them. So it's time to defeat them. The young man replied that it was good. Since everything turned out so strange, he won't be left behind either. After which he shouted that the pathetic gnomes would now be simply stunned by his incredibly wonderful reception. Then he began to use the 100 fists of the Big Dipper technique against his enemies. Then he began to use absolutely all the techniques that came to his mind against them. After a while, finding himself near the boss, the guy noted that he needed to be killed with his ultimate. Abba clarified whether he was sure he wanted to use it. It would have been very rude of him not to tell him that the spirit in the armor was also controlled by voice. After which, a powerful explosion occurred. After a while, the young man noted that it was simply incredible. The strength of a forgotten civilization is something with something. It's a shame it was destroyed. True, controlling this spirit takes a huge amount of energy. Just a little more, and it would have turned into a raisin. But now the enemies are defeated, and the dawn greets them. The robot noted that the sky is very beautiful. He had not seen sunlight for so long, and could not think that one day the temple would finally be illuminated by the rays of the sun. Thanks to the guest for helping me complete the task. When the young man asked how many tasks he still had left to complete, something strange began to happen to Abba. He said that it was very impolite, but the source of his power was drying up. But the robot was very glad that he had the opportunity to meet a guest. The guy exclaimed that he could share energy sources. Abba replied that it was not necessary. Just let him help him with one more thing. Then he put his head to it and began to transmit information. Finally, he began to mutter that his last task as an elder mentor was to not allow the techniques of Mentor Chewy Fen to disappear. After that, he turned off, and the system notified that a new technique had been received: diamond crushing. Roger tried to shout to him, but it was already useless. The young man failed to save his new acquaintance, so he simply buried him. The good thing was that he found some information in that memory crystal. The main headquarters of the temple was in the city of Baoshi. There lived a creature similar to Abba, Asi. Perhaps she knows how to revive him. After a while, Rachel exclaimed, he blew up the gnome's lair." The guy replied that it was a long and complicated story. In general, they won't bother them anymore. When asked how the dragon was feeling, the girl replied that the wounds were more serious than she thought. If you want to get to the swamp instantly, You will have to wait 3 days. Then she added that there is no need to worry because she will keep her word and will definitely deliver him to the city. The young man noted to himself that this was even better. There would be time to test the techniques that the robot had given him. Suddenly, the girl grabbed his hand and said that she would take him to Mrs. Musa. The village lives in peace and prosperity, only thanks to her. Just don't let anyone say a word about it. There used to be ruins here, destroyed by magic, but the emerald power of the lady ennobled these lands, and the power of the great dragon prevents evil creatures from approaching them. She is also the mother of Mishas. Our hero noted to himself how beautiful the emerald dragon was. It's a pity that you can't make a sentient being your pet. Musa said that Rachel told him about his problem. As a sign of gratitude, she decided to give him the blessing of the dragon, but she had a request. Let him help you deal with Humphrey, who lives nearby. The Emerald Dragon's blessing can only be used once. The one who uses it will receive +1 to 3 random characteristics out of 6. The young man said that this was a very tempting offer, but he wanted more. The dragon hissed, "In what sense? How dare this pathetic little man treat her like this?" After some time, Rachel said that before Mystera was an ancient state and was called Talon. There was another civilization called the Scientific Society Ephir. The guy clarified whether she wanted to say that the spell to destroy the world was not cast for the first time. The girl replied that, yes, perhaps there will be a third. Roger noted to himself that if this is so, then Mystra is several thousand times more terrible than he imagined. How much time I lost? 10 whole years. The girl continued that, once upon a time, the Scientific Society of Fear conducted a study of this spell. All the records were preserved. Well, will he now agree to deal with Humphrey in exchange for the necessary information? The young man noted to himself that he needed to study the game more carefully. Now we have to struggle to obtain information that was previously at hand. All the time he pressed skip in the game, because he did not consider it necessary to watch what was shown there. After which he replied that, okay, he still had nothing to do, so at least he would gain experience. Rachel began to tell that once upon a time, Musa's mother was in a scientific society. According to her memories, the records are located in a laboratory that floats in the air. There are machine creatures inside. The second time, the world destruction spell worked so unexpectedly that all their records disappeared into oblivion. The successor to the Scientific Society, Ephir, is now called the City of Baushi. I noted to myself that this guy was kind of strange. She thought he would demand something incredibly valuable, but she simply agreed to this ancient information. And what worries her even more is that the moment he decided to demand more in return, the lady in a rage released waves of dragon majesty. But he survived and didn't even blink an eye. When Roger left, the lady honestly admitted something. This man seems to have a seal inside him. If it weakens and all the power breaks out, let Rachel do whatever he asks. Could this guy really pose some kind of serious danger? For some time, remembering the girl's words that you need to go north along the big path until you reach low ochre-colored houses, where Humphrey's house will be, the guy reached his destination. It was somehow completely deserted around. Not a single green plant. Is this the reason why Humphrey and the dwarves united to attack the village? The lands may be barren here, but there are a lot of people living here. What do they live off of? Is it really robbery? Although judging by their appearance, they are the only ones being robbed here. The whole body is weak and covered in some abscesses. Also, both men and women were all wearing skirts. This is somehow downright strange, but it doesn't matter. He'll just bypass them. Because anyway, nothing normal will fall out of them. Then I noticed that in the center of the city, in one of the towers, there was a red aura. So, most likely, Humphrey is there. After which he decided to merge with the crowd, penetrate into the very center and grab him. He hopes that his target is outwardly different from these beggars. When he got there, he noted that the door was open. He completely lacks the instinct of self-preservation, so deal with him quickly. Suddenly, he crashed into some huge woman and immediately asked her forgiveness. When she passed by, the young man noted that she looked extremely strange. The limbs are thin, but the belly is huge. Suddenly, it increased in size, and the woman was twisted and fell to the ground. After which, children began to fly out of it. They instantly turned into huge muscular men and began to walk towards the lady, saying one word, Mom. Next came a gentleman who said that for 3 children, she received 2 baskets. The woman was slightly upset that there weren't so many children, because that way she would have gotten more fiery oranges. The system immediately explained that this is a demonic fruit with a high degree of mutation, easily addictive, and should be eaten with caution. The guy noted that this is worse than substances from the real world. Probably all the inhabitants are controlled with the help of oranges. Now I understand why they look like that. Is everyone really wearing skirts to make giving birth more comfortable? Suddenly, someone sharply put a hand on his shoulder and asked if he had also come for fire oranges. The young man replied that he was just passing by, and in general, he was into girls. But the man objected that it didn't matter, after which he threw him into the room and said that enough chatting already. Let it pass. The system immediately notified that he had entered a ritual of the spirit of defiled blood. Roger immediately realized why these 3 had grown out of the casket so quickly. The magic of the occultists is used here. He wants to take over the village so that he can have more children. Humphrey uses girls as incubators to carry out his dirty plans. There is no rotation for this one. The man noted that he was smart, but he was wrong about something. He does not need the village to fulfill his plans. Everything he does is for the sake of the spirit of corrupted blood. After all, by sacrificing a child born of an emerald dragon, he will be able to awaken his master, who is bound by a seal. No need to be so surprised by this. First, he will allow him to experience the pleasure of bearing his child. The young man decided that this was too much and wanted to run away, but the man grabbed him with snake chains. After which he stated that he has such delicate skin, which means his children will be special. Roger began to get angry that he spent 10 years leveling up, sacrificing his youth. I didn't even think about anything obscene for a second, all for the sake of returning home, and now he coveted his innocence. After which he activated the maximum release of the magic ring of self-destruction. It was very good that he took this ring with him, but his power is not enough to defeat this man. But suddenly, the man announced that now that they were both naked, their souls and bodies would merge together in a passionate dance. You need to give it your all. The young man shouted for this pervert to keep his trunk to himself and wanted to grab the sword. But he was not there. Humphrey said that he completely forgot to say that he installed a force field in the city. No one can use weapons here. It is for this reason that he does not need guards. He can only be defeated if the young man uses his physical strength. But unfortunately, Roger is very weak. Therefore, let him just lie down and not twitch, and he will be gentle. Our hero replied that he wouldn't even let anyone touch him. Then he remembered the technique that the robot shared with him. Abba said that you need to feel your chi, and then he will be able to use this technique. Let him feel it with his heart. Then the young man concentrated and began to do everything as he said. That's why everything worked out for him. The enemy said that they had enough of resisting. He knows what the guy did to the dwarves. But without his weapon, he is helpless. The young man said that, really. So let him demonstrate what a speed of light impact is. At first, Humphrey said that it was just funny and the power didn't even come from him. Why all this circus? But later he regretted what he said. Next, our hero used the diamond crushing technique. Ancient technology is very cool. She instantly made up for the hand-to-hand combat skills he lacked. Only he's never practiced this. His hands are unfamiliar, so his fists are covered in blood. The man muttered that it was interesting. He underestimated him. This means the guy knows ancient techniques. Now it's clear why I didn't feel the strength. He's lucky. The spirit of defiled blood also comes from ancient times. His blood is perfect for sacrifice. It seems that the guardian spirit, that stone demon statue, clearly liked it. For the first time, she sees him start sucking her out himself. Humphrey then stated that plans had changed. He no longer needs his children. Now he needs all his blood. Let him now feel its true power. Then he shouted that this was a retaliatory strike from the occultist. Roger objected that he should not be underestimated. Let him fight at least at full strength. He doesn't care. As they hit each other, our hero thought to himself that it was difficult for him to resist. It's good that he has the blessing of perseverance. The enemy thought that he was much stronger than he expected. It turned out that their strength was approximately equal, but no one was going to give in to the other. So they fought and argued among themselves. After a while, our hero thought to himself whether he ever gets tired or not. His strength is already running out. He doesn't know how much longer he can hold out. The opponent immediately stated that he was exhausted. Humphrey thought that he would not last long, but he still had plenty of strength. Let him give up already, because he cannot defeat him. Just let him give all his blood and he will forget about everything. And if he refuses, then Humphrey will enslave his entire village and then kill his relatives. Everyone who is even slightly connected with him, friends, distant relatives, no one can hide from him. And his parents, brothers and sisters will become eternal slaves of the spirit of defiled blood and will give birth to children for him. This completely infuriated the young man, so he ordered him to shut his mouth. And in his body, it is unclear how, chi began to be generated, after which he struck with the words that he didn't care what he said with his filthy mouth, but he shouldn't dare mention his family. Then he began to strike one after another, realizing that the technique works even with chi that appeared due to anger. It's a terrible banality, but he likes it. After a short period of time, the enemy already asked for forgiveness and said that he would never do anything bad again. It turned out that it was just a distraction, since he began to turn to the great spirit of blood and asked to pay attention to him. His follower faced a strong enemy. Let him grant him the power of summoning. Let the stone demon wake up. When he came to his senses, Humphrey shouted that now our hero would come to an end, but he just exclaimed that he was so cute. The man exclaimed that even if that was the case, he could still turn his life into a nightmare. Let the messenger of the spirit of defiled blood kill this man who is preventing the coming of their master. He didn't waste time. The otherworldly creature instantly rushed towards Roger. The rival reported that the ancient stone demon has an incredible technique that is capable of sending a person to the next world in the most terrible way. With his help, he will hasten the day when the spirit of defiled blood will appear on this earth. But he suddenly froze in amazement. The young man stroked the otherworldly creature's face and said how cute he was, and he just smiled in response. Then our hero turned sharply in his direction and said that if his blood was needed, then they would listen to him. Are there any objections? The man replied that there were none. This is quite fair. Since everything turned out this way, it's better to consider each other family. Let him allow him to call himself Big Brother. Roger replied that, okay. He is very interested in what kind of terrifying technique this demon has. Perhaps he will demonstrate it on him. If he refuses the request, then they are not brothers, but enemies. Then he ordered the otherworldly creature to demonstrate the technique of terrible death. The system immediately notified that a new qualification had been received. Eating an animal's corpse heals wounds. After the victory, our hero returned to the village. The Emerald Dragon changed her mind about him and happily sang a song of blessing. Dragons are truly smart and talented. He immediately felt their blessing. All basic characteristics improved, and the body was filled with strength. Early missions also dragged on. Rachel said she would keep her promise and deliver him where he needed to go. The girl prepared food in advance for the two of them, and for the dragon, and also gave him a new cape and sewed up his clothes. If he had such a wife, he would not need anything else. When everything was ready, they went to the city of Baoshi. The journey took a whole day, but in his head he would only be thinking about the trophies obtained from Humphrey. In his bedroom were 3 gold discs, 135 silver coins, and copper. I must admit that this was a very quick way to make money. This would be enough for him to support a small family. But the most exciting finds were 2 rings and a belt from the secret room. A special feature of one of the rings is that all damage received by it is reduced by 4%. What he liked best was the belt. The leading muscle group of the waist part of the body will be significantly increased in size. That is, when he puts it on, his abs and lower muscle line will take on clear outlines. It would be great if he could take this thing with him into the real world. Looking at his strange behavior, the girl noted that, apparently, Roger was looking forward to their arrival in the city. "This is the first time I've seen him smile so much." Then she said that they had been flying for 5 hours. It seemed like it was time to have a snack. The guy replied that he was so filled with joy that he was not hungry at all, but let them eat. When they began to look for the bundle of provisions, they could not find anything. It turned out that the little demon had stolen their supplies and was sitting there, eating everything. Suddenly, Rachel screamed, "The trouble doesn't come alone. Ahead are magical creatures that have settled in these swamps. Evil swamp dragons. If they spot a prey, they will chase it until they kill it." Misha's would be able to tear himself away from them, but not on an empty stomach. What to do now? The guy asked if they were stronger than Humphrey. The girl replied that 1 adult is like 2 Humphrey. They look small, but in strength, they are almost no different from him. The guy replied that there was nothing to worry about. Let him just relax and leave them to him. The companion noted to herself that, exactly, the young man was able to defeat Humphrey alone. Even Mrs. Musa is afraid of him. He just has incredibly strong chi. Could she finally see his mighty power in person? The young man sent a stone demon to them, shouting that it is because of him that they cannot escape from them. Let him not return until he deals with them. Otherwise, he will turn into a statue again. The creature was so reluctant to accept its former form that it decided to use all its power against them. 2 hours later, the guys noted that the meat of swamp dragons was incredibly tasty. But the most surprising thing is that the little devil turned out to be very strong. Therefore, I dealt with them with 1 left hand. The girl noted that, yes. He found a very interesting use for his claws. It's a sneaky trick, but the main thing is that it works. By the way, after the battle, he's kind of sad. He sat there near the tree and sat there all this time. I wonder why. Our hero immediately approached him and began to offer him to eat meat because it was very tasty. He noted to himself that he was such a little thing, but his pride was off the charts. After which he began to apologize and say that it was his fault that he did not warn him that that food was for the dragon, and I shouldn't have forced him to fight alone, and said that he would turn him to stone. After some time, the guy muttered that after a hearty lunch he wanted to sleep, so he needed to take a little nap. Suddenly, the girl pinned him to the ground and said that she wanted to tell him something. In truth, she liked him immediately. Therefore, he suggests that the 2 of them have a little fun before they go further on their journey. Then the young man abruptly woke up from the fact that the little demon began to lick him from all sides and tickle him. After some time, the guy stated that it was a ball again. Do girls in this world always leave without saying goodbye? Now he will see what she wanted to tell him. Rachel reported that he was sleeping so soundly that she decided not to wake him. There is little left to the city. Not far from it, there is Paramount, which consists of 20 farms, and the town of Zari. The owner's name is Alan Dominic. You can only enter Baoshi via a bridge over the river, but now it has been blocked, and the owner of these places has the key. They say the bridge is opened only once a year during the coldest time. Therefore, most of the adventurers are waiting in the city of Zari. The young man began to think that how could he know when it would get colder here? Now they hang out there all the time or something. The girl added that she would very much like to accompany him further, but she has a lot to do in the village, and the dragon is very afraid of the monsters here, so they had to return. By the way, he wants to share some news with him. Some of those close to her told her that the next spell to destroy the world would be activated only after 130 years. So see you later. She was very glad to meet him, even if she did not know for what purpose he needed to risk himself and go to this city. But she hopes that he only has good intentions in his heart. After which she kissed the young man on the cheek, and it dawned on him that, after all, part of this was not a dream. This made him happy at first, but then he realized that this game was trying to trick him again. He's just an insensitive collection of pixels and nothing more. After which he did not waste time and ran along the cliff down to the city of Zari to find the one he needed. This bridge, of course, adds problems, but first you need to try to establish contact with the owner of the local lands. Maybe we can count on some good news. From his own experience, he can say that wherever he arrives, something new opens up to him. I wonder what techniques are reserved here for him. I wish I could find out sooner. Suddenly a man appeared, running towards him and asking for help. Roger noted that a side quest has appeared. He likes this fast pace of events. The young man immediately stated that a magical creature was chasing him. If he helps him, the man will thank him with a monetary reward. The first person he met didn't even argue with him. At the sight of the blue creature, our hero noted that it meant that he was being pursued by the Chancellor Turtle. Looks quite weak. Then he struck him on the shell with his sword, but the weapon broke in half. The man immediately said that he was just about to tell him that Denagame's absolute defense was capable of repelling third-class attacks. He also has a huge attack speed. He is incredibly fast and accurate, so he is very difficult to defeat. But in the end, Roger still managed to defeat him. The move is a flaming meteorite that directly attacks the enemy's heart. No absolute defense can cope with such ancient and merciless energy. The man could not believe his eyes that he actually managed to defeat this turtle. The young man helped him out a lot. Apparently they were destined to meet. He has something for him. The young man was immediately interested in what kind of value he had there. It seems that he will cross the bridge very soon. But the stranger took out some papers and said that these were documents for land. He can sell it inexpensively. Roger even asked again, in the sense of selling. In that case, goodbye. Let him never contact him again. Next, a system alert appeared, which reported that he had defeated the turtle and received a +1 to his life expectancy. This is the first time our hero has heard of such a characteristic. Why did the red exclamation mark appear in the notification? When he clicked on it, the system reported that he had been cursed by the fell blood spirit. Now, for an indefinite amount of time, life expectancy will decrease. The young man could not understand what kind of nonsense this was. This is the first time he's heard of something like this happening in this game. What does it even mean? The remaining life expectancy is 8. Is it years, months, or days? The main thing is that it doesn't turn into 0. But judging by the speed of the counter, the indicator will turn to 0 in a couple of days. Lately, he has become much stronger. But this is not enough to get out of this world. The man decided to press for pity and said that his wife was sick, and he also had 16 children. The farm suffered because of these turtles. Due to all the circumstances, he simply cannot sell him the land cheaper. Hearing about the turtles, the young man turned to him and quickly said that he was buying everything. The seller said that the land was only worth 4,000 copper coins. It is located southwest of Paramount, just a half-hour's walk along the river. He needs to buy medicine for his wife, so he won't be able to carry it out. But our hero threw him the money and exclaimed that there was no need for change. The man noted that this was a gold disc. This thing is much more valuable than copper. That guy's very rich. On the way, our hero thought that this was even for the better. It is still unknown when this bridge will open. He will stay here, hunt turtles, and restore his life expectancy. Maybe the owner of the land will allow him, as a farmer, to cross the bridge early. After some time, he reached the place and noted that this building was completely different from the one shown on the leaf. However, Everything looked decent inside. Wooden floor, genuine leather sofa, kitchen, bath, bedroom, living room. Everything was there. There's also a fireplace to boot. On cold days, his mother could warm her old bones with him. It would be wonderful if they could move here together from their small, cold apartment. Then he could be considered a good son. I would give them the opportunity to live in a big house without labor and worries. He wouldn't have to think about how to get back. I would introduce Dorothy and Rachel to my parents as brides, and they would have 180 little children. Suddenly, a system alert appeared, which reported that life expectancy had become 1. Therefore, the young man ran out into the street and immediately went in search of these turtles. 7 days later, the young man thought that this was just a nightmare. He combed the entire area, but found only a few turtles. The lower life expectancy, the faster it goes away. He will soon be finished. He said that there are plenty of them here. So why doesn't he come across them at all? What a damn game. She sent some deceiver to him who cheated him. Suddenly, an imp appeared. Our hero asked him where he had been. He found out that he didn't have long left and went to look for a new owner or something. He, of course, understands that there is nothing particularly connecting them, but why then did he decide to return? When he extended his hand to the otherworldly creature in order to help him rise, some kind of force began to flow into him. Then system alerts began to appear that he had defeated rare turtles, and his life expectancy was increasing. When the count stopped at 276, the little imp fell to the ground in an unconscious state. Our hero immediately grabbed him and began to panic about how to help him, because he does not know how to heal. Then I remembered that he actually came to life when I tasted his blood. Then he started dripping it into his mouth and saying that he wouldn't let him die. It really worked. The otherworldly creature came to its senses, but grabbed his finger and did not want to let go. When his strength began to leave him, a reminder appeared from the system that eating an animal's corpse accelerates regeneration. Roger was glad he took some meat with him. Otherwise, he would have become the first person to die at the hands of his own pet. The qualification he took from Humphrey came in handy. When his strength was restored, he told the imp to never act alone again. If something happens, they will solve problems together. There is safety in numbers. But the creature was still so exhausted that it began to lose consciousness again. So the guy picked him up and decided to take him into the house to rest. After some time, the guys were already sleeping soundly in an embrace in order to gain strength. When the otherworldly creature opened its eyes, it saw our hero's open mouth right in front of him. For some reason, this scared him greatly, so he jumped sharply to the side and fell to his knees. Roger didn't raise it. Why did he lose his temper? Then he came to the conclusion that he just wanted to wish him good morning and said that now he needed to eat. Suddenly, they heard the clatter of hooves outside and a man's voice asked if anyone was there. Continuing to brush his teeth, the young man looked outside and asked who came to them so early. A young man appeared before him and said that he was very glad to see that Mr. Roger was in good health. The guy has already asked who he is. The stranger explained that his name was Lewis. He is a patrol knight in these parts. Recently, a ghost storm hit a nearby farm and nothing was left of it. But there's not a scratch on his farm. Unprecedented luck for the storm to bypass someone. Our hero noted to himself how quickly rumors about his seizure of the farm spread. Not peace, but pure word of mouth. The knight added that if he needs it, he lives 2 kilometers to the east, on the Ranliu farm. Roger asked what kind of storm there was at night. The young man exclaimed in surprise that he really hadn't even noticed anything. Our hero replied that, of course, he noticed. Probably I just didn't pay enough attention. Suddenly, a system alert appeared, saying that he had killed 15 water ghosts. Now the metabolism is increased. The young man wondered if this little imp had destroyed all the ghosts on his own. Lewis said his farm was once one of the largest. It's a pity that the owner lost it at cards. However, there is no need to despair. Hard work will turn even such a ruin into a profitable place. The young man immediately realized that this old man had deceived him. He also told me that there are a lot of turtles here. The knight added that he advised him to restore the fence as soon as possible and to stay at home. Monsters attack the farm in groups. However, the patrolman will do everything so that he can live safely on this land. There might be a monster raid tonight, but that's just a guess. Now he will go to warn the other farms. A few hours later, our hero thought that he loved dried meat. Tasty, keeps for a long time, and is easy to get. He's probably the worst adventurer in this world, and yet he's practically food for an imp. It's good that he's alone. He obviously couldn't handle two or more, and it's so hard for him to be a walking blood bank. Suddenly, the little devil dragged a huge bull. The system immediately notified that it had killed a red-horned yak. The rate of blood replenishment is increased. Roger was infuriated by this, so he grabbed him by the throat and started shouting that this was not a cafeteria at all. Let him kill only turtles and no one else. When the little devil said that he had looked everywhere, but had not found one, the guy calmed down a little and muttered that, "Okay, maybe new ones will appear soon." Suddenly they began to hear some strange sounds, and the other-worldly creature began to point its finger somewhere to the side. The system immediately alerted them that they had encountered an infestation of aquatic turtles. The guys began to smile insidiously, because this was exactly what they had been looking for so long. Meanwhile, the knight rushed towards the farm and shouted that a huge crowd of aquatic turtles was heading towards them. It feels like someone is guiding them, but the picture that appeared before the young man shocked him. There were a bunch of corpses of aquatic turtles around, and Roger stood above them with an imp, stuttering. He began to mutter that there were hundreds, if not thousands, of turtles. How could the two of them do this? Our hero replied that it just so happened that his ancestors had a secret technique that works great with turtles. There is such a funny coincidence. Suddenly, Lewis burst into tears, fell to his knees, and began to say that this was simply incredible. The Paramount Mansion is saved. He cannot calm down, because the delight that has captured his soul is too great. Rogers said that they had been looking for aquatic turtles for several days, and everything was in vain. Where did so many of them come from out of nowhere? The guy replied that turtles are ordinary monsters that often gather in groups, but lately there have been an abnormal number of them. Along with other monsters, they organize raids on the surrounding lands. Many manors and estates are damaged beyond repair due to their raids. Mr. is a very valiant young man. Could he help them deal with the threat of aquatic turtles? Our hero replied that it goes without saying. But first, let him at least say how many there are and what he should expect. The knight replied that, according to data from the front line, there are about tens of thousands of aquatic turtles. He understands that this task is not an easy one, so he will humbly accept his refusal. Lewis noticed that our hero was trembling all over, and noted to himself that he understood him perfectly because he also had difficulties standing on his feet when they told him this. But suddenly, Roger smiled insidiously and asked where they were. Let him show him the direction, and he will immediately go and deal with them. The knight shouted after him that he had sent a letter asking for help to the Lord. Let him hold out for a couple of days, and on the third day his troops promised to come. The guy said that such minor problems are not a reason to bother him. Meanwhile, local residents tried to escape from the aquatic turtles that were chasing them. Suddenly, one of the girls tripped and fell sharply to the ground. She didn't manage to get to her feet right away. The guy immediately ran to her aid, but she told him to leave her because she could no longer run. But the young man said that he would never leave her alone. Monsters immediately began to overtake them, so the guys decided that the end had come for them and began to say goodbye to each other. But suddenly, our hero appeared, who, using the flaming star technique, repelled this attack and covered them with him. When he heard cries for help from the other side, he immediately said that he had dealt with all the turtles at Bailey Farm southeast of here, so let them go there. The girl exclaimed, "Who is he? Is he really the new knight of the garrison? So brave." Don't let Hansen misunderstand it. But the young man muttered that she was right. This stranger is so strong and attractive. Meanwhile, the system notified that he had killed 30 turtles, which means he has 48 years of life added to his life. Also, for helping the characters, he receives +3 to charisma. The guy noted that this is a generally useless attribute. Then he began to deal with otherworldly creatures, and the system only had time to notify him that years of life were being added to him. After some time and a bunch of earned attributes, the system reported that he encountered a royal aquatic turtle. The young man stated that he had appeared just in time, and gave the order to the little imp to attack. When the monster was destroyed, the system notified that for the total destruction of aquatic turtles, it received 35,196 years of life. He also received the title of Long Liver and added a secret technique for communicating with a sword. After a while, the guy noted that his lifespan was no longer decreasing. Time seemed to have stopped. Now he doesn't have to worry about a quick death. It's good, of course, to be practically immortal. But we must not forget about his main goal, to return to the real world. With the increase in attributes, the unexpected happened. Due to the fabulous bonus to charisma, he became a local superstar. It's good that you listened to the knight's words and repaired the fence. He has become so popular that he is now afraid to leave the house. As soon as he goes somewhere or goes to bed, different people enter his home. At best, they simply steal his things or sniff them, and at worst, they encroach on his virginity. It's good that he has an ever-vigilant watchman who protects him from illegal attacks. While the guy was looking out the window, suddenly a female voice was heard behind him, who clarified whether he was Mr. Roger. Our hero exclaimed who she even was. Let him not even approach him or touch his body, otherwise he will scream loudly. The girl apologized for not warning her about the visit in advance. Her name is Freya. Their Lord Alan asked her to give him the reward. The young man noted that this was somehow strange. His charisma has no effect on her at all. Does it really only affect certain characters? Or maybe high-level characters can ignore this effect. Who is she? Freya said that she was supposed to come last week, but was delayed due to the investigation of the monster invasion. It's too early to say, but it seems that the Red Sleeve Brotherhood is somehow involved in this. His Highness is extremely grateful for his courage in dealing with the problem of aquatic turtle invasion. These creatures attacked them when the Lord was not in the estate. As soon as he returns, they will wipe these monsters off the face of the earth. Then she handed him a book and said that it was a small gift from Alan. The guy noted to himself that it was illuminated, so it must be rare. The system announced that this was a technique from the school of the founders of the crouching tiger style. When used on monsters, there is a chance to inflict critical injury. On females, the effect is much lower, after which he thanked him for the gift and asked if the Lord would like to have tea upon his return. The girl replied that, of course, when His Majesty returns, he will be glad to see him. Let him be extremely careful. The Red Sleeve Brotherhood would never leave him alone after he disrupted their plans. If you notice anyone suspicious, let her or Lewis know immediately. Our hero replied that there was no need to worry. With this little devil at his side, not even a fly would fly near him. Finally, Freya said that at first she didn't believe that he dealt with 10,000 turtles with his bare hands, but now she sees that she doubted it in vain. But just as she was about to take a step outside, she saw a mercenary fall from the roof. The girl immediately told him to hide, because these were scouts from the Red Sleeves. She said that they would take revenge for the turtles. The young man objected that he was dead. Freya explained that scouts never work alone. Don't underestimate them. These are high-class killers, former assassins in the service of the Brotherhood. But suddenly, a considerable number of mercenaries began to fall from the roof, and then a happy gargoyle jumped onto them. After a while, the girl said that killing scouts is not an easy task. She will report this to the Lord. Many rewards await them. But let him be careful with the little devil so that he does not harm civilians. Considering that they defeated 2 squads of scouts, they should expect an attack from someone more serious. If they suddenly need help, it will be at Senluo Farm. The young man decided to immediately contact her and asked if she could help him with those people who always hang around the gate. The girl replied that this could be dealt with somehow, after which she took a deep breath. Then she screamed loudly. Why were they crowded together? Is there really nothing better to do? Let them go home, do the cleaning, and check on the mothers. If they have so much free time, she will immediately enlist them in the militia. When the crowd fled, the girl shouted that the job was done. The guy noted to himself that finally he could at least go to the toilet without strangers. After some time, he thought about what he should do now. Wait for the red sleeves to come to them or something. Then he remembered that he had not yet experienced a new technique, so he began to chase the gargoyle and shout that he would give him some blood if it hurt. When they found themselves in the forest, our hero declared that in such a wilderness, no one would hear his screams. Suddenly, the little devil rushed to his neck, and Roger could not understand what he was doing, whether he really wanted to deceive him that there was someone behind him. But it turned out that the otherworldly creature did this for a reason, because at the place where they stood, a powerful explosion occurred from the ground. When a huge monster appeared, he stated that it had a dark cape, blonde hair, and yellow eyes, in the company of a gargoyle. So in front of them is Roger. The young man looked at them carefully and stated that they were red trousers. The guys were indignant that the sleeves were actually red. One of them said that he was walking around as if nothing had happened. It seems that they will not wait for a report from the intelligence officers. They didn't warn him that it was better not to mess with red sleeves. The young man replied that maybe that's enough chatting, but it would be better to get down to business. He just needs to experience something. The guys rushed to attack him, shouting that there was no need to be arrogant. Let him try to hold out for at least a couple of minutes. When the attackers declared that they would definitely avenge their fallen brothers, our hero began to fight them off with his feet, using the flying tiger paw technique. Another, attacking from behind, said that fighting with legs was too arrogant. Does he really think he can deal with them without getting his hands dirty? But his attack was immediately repulsed by a gargoyle. Roger said that you should not underestimate the small ones, much less relax next to them. But unexpectedly, the leader of the Red Sleeves grabbed the young man tightly, taking advantage of the fact that he was distracted. It turned out that the little devil was also caught. The young man could not believe that they had just grabbed the little one so easily. The guy noted that he had such an iron grip that he couldn't break free. But he didn't take into account the main thing. His legs are free and thirsty for blood. There was no point in relaxing and standing so calmly. Legs spread. After which, he struck with the flying tiger paw technique. The guys laughed and asked if he was normal at all. Does he really think it's that easy to defeat them? When not even a muscle moved on the big man's face, the young man decided that nothing had worked, and it seemed that the end had come for him. But suddenly, the mask on the thug's face broke into pieces. His face grimaced in pain, and he screamed loudly. Our hero realized that this was a normal delay in the game due to high ping, after which he ran up to everyone else and began to hit them between the legs. After a while, our hero noted that this was an excellent technique, simple and trouble-free. The system notified that he had received a unique fighting style, which is called the Merciless Destroyer of Offspring. He then noticed the exclamation mark that appeared in the corner and decided to press it, praying that it was something good. The system notified that he was strong enough to choose a new class. Does Roger want to accept the job for promotion? The young man noted that this was somehow strange. As far as he remembers, classes become available at level 50th, and he's only at level 12. Perhaps this is some kind of error in the system. If only all the bugs in the game were like this, then I decided to see what kind of task it was. Hope it's not too complicated. He was given 4 classes to choose from: Magic Swordsman, Fist Fighter, King of Beasts, and Martial Artist. Roger admired that it was just like in the game. He was never able to make a choice then. The system then added that after choosing a class, he will receive a super strong body that is devoid of flaws. Our hero exclaimed, Where is the acceptance button? He wants everything. But suddenly, the system announced that when choosing a class, he would receive a super body and the title of an unbearable stink. The young man got angry. What kind of nonsense is this? What kind of title is this anyway? The system added that you can select the difficulty level. Either kill 2 red sleeve bosses and get a super body and a new class, or kill 3 bosses and get a super body, a new class, and 2 attribute points. It dawned on our hero that he had several options for progress. Why didn't she tell him right away? Such awards are suitable. Then the young man pressed the button and announced that he accepted the task of high complexity. One of the mercenaries spoke up and said that he really thought it was so easy to deal with them. The guy has no idea what you've gotten yourself into. Our hero replied that enough chatting already. It's better to let him tell him where he can find their club of interests, and maybe he'll let him go. The mercenary said that he wouldn't succeed anyway, so he said that their base was in the Capone estate, which is located in the east of Knight Avenue in the capital. But there's no way he will get there alive. After this battle, Roger became the main target of the Red Sleeve Brotherhood. From now on, their brothers will not give him peace. The young man replied that this was more than satisfactory for him. But he didn't understand something. He's the one who won't give them peace. Suddenly, a system alert appeared, which reported that he had killed the 3rd squad of the Red Sleeve Brotherhood. Inevitable revenge will soon overtake him. After some time, the girl clarified whether he wanted to say that he was going to become the head of the Capone Guard. He must have incredible strength to aspire to such a position. Our hero said that in confirmation of his intentions, he was giving her this pet. The girl noted that he was the sweetest creature, so she would gladly accept him. Then she asked if she could now see the leader of Apo. Of course, when he is level 30, not level 12. Until then, let him get out of her sight. 2 thugs immediately materialized near Roger and said that he really thought they were so stupid that they wouldn't understand who he was. Our hero said that they didn't come out right away, then they wouldn't have had to organize this circus with a gift. If they want it bad, then it will be bad. After which I dealt with them in literally a few minutes and stated that they were just healthy. There was no sense in them. The girl immediately began to run away, and the gargoyle pointed this out to our hero. The young man said that she should run a little. Then he asked where he would run if someone beat him. Meanwhile, the head of the Red Sleeves was thinking that she should have guessed about this. How could a level 12th brat even tame a gargoyle? She was careless. Now he can only ask the leader to take action. The girl hopes that he is in a stable mood today. Then she opened the doors and exclaimed the Lord's name. But the man was clearly not in the mood. Therefore, he shouted that he didn't say that no one was allowed to bother him when he was boxing. Then he began to demonstrate the techniques that he had been practicing all this time. His new moves are incredibly good, using only 2 levels of power. Does she imagine what will happen if he makes a full blow? Looking at her face, the leader could not understand what this expression meant. Does she dare look down on him? Now he will beat her to death. The girl tried to report that there was an enemy here, but the man could not understand what she was saying. He just freaked out and told her to get up and talk normally. Next came our hero, who asked if he even had enough intelligence to be a leader, after which the young man whispered in his ear that she meant that they had an enemy invasion. But it's too late, so let him take care of his buttocks. The guy understands that this is something new for him, but what can you do? Then he took the gargoyle by the hand and said that it was time to go. Along the way, he was glad that the last tasks were really getting easier and easier. Suddenly, the man turned in his direction and hissed, "How dare he look down on the Lord, plus make comments to him?" While the guy was wondering why the system notification that the boss had been defeated had not yet appeared, Appa rushed to attack him. The young man was so relaxed and did not expect such a turn of events that he took the blow with his face. The enemy shouted that this was not all. Let him try his new moves. The opponent was incredibly strong, so after the last blow, the young man was thrown up, so much so that he broke through the roof of the building. When the gargoyle tried to come to his defense, the man did not take her seriously at all, since she was too small. The Lord stated that chickens who don't know anything about martial arts don't deserve to fight him. During the flight, our hero could not understand why his blow did not affect him. This is simply impossible. Suddenly, Appa appeared near him, who asked where he was going to run. The young man had already begun to say goodbye to life. Then, in time, she remembered her ability that when she consumes meat, he restores his strength. After which the young man said that now it was his turn to fight back. He's not a punching bag. Our hero struck one after another, using absolutely every technique he knew. Roger used all the physical techniques he had learned recently. So this should have been enough. But why hasn't the notification appeared yet? After being hit so many times, even if he didn't die, he should still be seriously injured, right? Everything turned out to be completely fine with the man. He only said that he had finally met a worthy opponent. Let our hero continue to fight with him. He really likes it. Roger asked why he continued to fight more and more bravely. But he wasn't going to give up so easily, so of course I tried to fight him back. True, his strength was so incredible that boxing techniques were completely useless here. Then he remembered about his card in his sleeve. Since boxing techniques do not help here, then he can use the sword. But the enemy destroyed him with one blow. When he pulled out another sword, which was also instantly destroyed, the young man wondered if this guy really had no weaknesses. This is simply impossible. There must be something he didn't notice. If a guy can't defeat such an elite monster, how can he defeat the big boss? While he was thinking about all this, his opponent punched him in the face and exclaimed, "How dare he be distracted during the fight?" Stopping, Roger said that he finally understood what the problem was. The man was surprised how, after so many blows, he could still stand firmly on his feet. Holding one of his boxing gloves, our hero asked if one of his fists felt weak now. For an elite-level monster, he is indeed very strong, but his strength comes from his fists, which is quite curious. It looks like his guess is indeed correct. Most of his power comes from these gloves. Now he will put one on and check it. The opponent began to get very nervous and shouted that he shouldn't do this. When putting on gloves for the first time, it will take some time to adapt. This is enough time to kill him 10 times. But the man did not have time to strike the young man, as a small gargoyle grabbed his leg. The enemy was indignant at how this creature even dared to touch him. Now he will beat him to death. Suddenly our hero screamed to shut his mouth. If a man wants to play, then now they will do so. The Lord stated that his emotions and strength were growing exponentially. He cannot be allowed to adapt successfully. Then he shouted for this little monster to finally get away from him. He brought trouble upon himself, so now he will receive a double blow of the hammer. But suddenly, our hero materialized near him and did not allow his pet to be offended. A moment later, Roger could not understand where he was now. He remembers fighting against Apo, then grabbing his glove and putting it on his hand. But why did he suddenly appear here? Hearing some laughter behind him, he turned around and saw a guy who looked exactly like him. The stranger explained that this was him. More precisely, this is the plugin that our hero downloaded. The guy got into the game world, and he became him. Roger immediately asked if everything was okay with his parents. The young man replied that there was no need to worry. He feels so good that he doesn't even want to give him his body back. They are so kind to him. To buy him a house in the city center, his parents sold a house in their hometown. They rented a dilapidated farmhouse for 100 yen a month. Not to mention taking the initiative and working part-time to help him pay off the loan. They also spent their entire pension on him. He doesn't allow them to come to the new house, and the guy never showed them a good expression. But they are not angry. His parents keep bringing him household goods. It's all so worthless. Every day they eat vegetables and sleep in a hole under the bridge. They don't even want to go to the hospital when they get sick to save some money. He just needs to pretend to be pathetic, and they will be bull and horse for him and give him all their savings. It's a wonderful feeling to just sit back and enjoy. so he will leave it here forever. Although he is kind-hearted, maybe before he sucks the last bit of valuables out of his parents, he will allow him to return to see them one last time. Appa noted that this guy's anger level is going to skyrocket right now. What made him so angry? But in the end, he's just an ordinary kid. It is impossible for him to defeat the Lord. Suddenly, system alerts began to appear, which only had time to report that his level had increased. The man immediately began offering to start talking. The elder must learn to control his emotions. But our hero did not listen to him at all, so he dealt a crushing blow, which threw him some distance back. When Roger came to his senses, he could not understand why he was not wearing clothes. And where did the glove that was on his hand go? Where did Appa go? Then he asked his skinny younger brother if he had seen the big man here. The man muttered that it was actually him. But our hero didn't believe him, because they were completely different. Suddenly, a system alert appeared, saying that he had defeated the Black Fist trainer. Now he receives a specialization in which he can always easily master any style of boxing. Appa reported that after wearing gloves, there is a risk of uncontrollable anger when the anger value reaches a certain level. And with uncontrolled behavior, there is a high probability of memory loss. The system confirmed that this was true. When the gloves are worn, the person will experience the effect of burning in anger. As soon as there is an increase of more than 20 levels, there is a risk of losing control. Our hero was convinced that it was Appa after all, and decided to finish the job. But the man exclaimed that, in fact, he was also a victim and was doing bad things under the control of the gloves. The guy replied that if he told him the truth about other gathering places of the Red Sleeve Brotherhood, he would think about saving his worthless life. The opponent had already jumped up and exclaimed that there was no problem. He would tell everything. Then he began to whisper something in his ear. Finally, our hero said, "Okay, only because he is sincere will Roger make an exception and let him live." The man muttered, "What a stupid kid," showed mercy to the enemy. When Appa contacts the leaders, he will meet his death. He then laughed loudly, but he didn't expect that there was a small gargoyle behind him. After the massacre of him, a system notification appeared that for killing Appa, our hero receives an original chastity belt. Examining one of Appa's defenses, our hero noted that it was not surprising that he did not mind blows between the legs. It looks, of course, disgusting, but the effect is useful. Almost completely cut off the latent threat from the enemy bottom line. Then he decided to put this gargoyle on his head, and the little creature resisted this in every possible way. Suddenly, there was a sound of stomping and voices behind them, saying that it was necessary to speed up, as a mobile library had appeared among the northern hills. They were so carried away by this idea that they did not notice the young man at all, and simply ran right over him. The young man was indignant. Their eyes had disappeared or something. Could they really not see anyone in front of them? Then, something dawned on him. He remembered that in the game, in his previous life, the longer you read in the library, the bigger the prize you can get. Since its position on the map is determined randomly, it is called a mobile library. Judging by the enthusiasm of all these people, everything must be right. How could a young man miss such an important moment? After which, he immediately began to run after them. The mobile library looked quite spectacular. Someone had already decided to try their luck and went inside. No idea how long he'll be able to spend there. Suddenly the doors opened, and an unknown force threw the young man out into the street. A girl appeared behind him and said that it was a pity, but he didn't even last a minute. He failed Mr. Xi's test. Then she pointed her finger at one of the creatures and said that it was Stacy's turn. The monster objected that she would like to think again, but the girl replied that after getting into the queue, there was no turning back. Otherwise, she will be severely punished by the succubus lord. Let him think about it. From the crowd came the voice of our hero, who raised his hand and declared that he wanted to take the test in her place. Everyone around was discussing that he was so frail that he wouldn't even last a minute. One of them said that there is no need to overestimate yourself. Just a minute ago, Schwarzenegger was the strongest of them. The girl said that since they want to change, she doesn't see anything wrong with it. Let it pass. On the way, the young man thought that the owner of the mobile library, a lord named Sanal, was an incredibly powerful succubus. This so-called special event was planned by him alone, for unknown reasons. On the surface, this is just reading for the sake of getting a reward, but the true meaning is hidden deeper. As soon as you open the book, a person begins to be surrounded by countless professional women who are trying to attract his attention. When their hands went to the wrong place, the guy noted to himself that this is a game for all ages. What are they doing? After which he exclaimed that they should behave more calmly. He understands that they want to charm him, but not so openly. One of the girls said that this was just a visual temptation, but now she will take him to a more suitable place to do things with him. Hearing a loud cry for help, the girl noted that he was an overconfident boy. Now they will watch how her sisters subdue him. After some time, the girls wondered what kind of nightmare this was. Their bewildering spells have no effect on him at all. The sister is standing at the entrance. She couldn't miss the woman. This is definitely a man. There is no doubt about it. He already has 10 years of savings in bells. It would be logical if he lost outright, but no matter how they showed off in front of him, flirted and gave their all, he didn't even look at them. I really want to just kill him. At this time, our hero was quietly sobbing and thinking that this damn game was constantly mocking him. Half an hour ago, he was thinking that they couldn't even imagine how hard it was for a small boy to resist the seduction of girls from another world. He doesn't want to hold back anymore. You need to treat this like a time travel dream. Just allow yourself to do whatever you want. The girls laughed quietly that he could no longer contain himself. The sisters haven't even had time to show their strength yet. Suddenly, a system alert sounded, announcing that an impure reaction had been detected, activating the chastity belt's passive ability. The girls did not understand what was happening to him. Why does he have a bright light coming from that place? Suddenly, Roger found himself among the monks who said that the heart is like ice, pure as much as the heavens are calm. The system reported that this is an endless space of abstinence formed by a chastity belt. The penalty for dirty behavior is 1 day of abstinence. The conditions for removing the chastity belt are death. Abstinence punishment is completed. Concentration on reading has increased slightly. The sensitivity of the foreskin is significantly reduced. Lust in the world can no longer be touched even on a small scale. On the street, people didn't understand how this kid got in and still doesn't come out. Perhaps he actually died there, and they are somehow connected with the black market. The girl noted that this was really strange. For many years, this is the first time she has seen a man stay out for so long. All that remains to be done is to break the rules by opening the door from the outside. But suddenly, our hero appeared himself and said that there were many different books that were very addictive. How long did he stay there? The girl admired this pure, impassive look. In her entire life as a succubus, she had never seen such an attractive man. Then she said that this was their new record. In addition to the 6 gold sticks, he can receive a random high-level item. Now she will spin the Wheel of Fortune for him. When the arrow stopped near one of the names, she took out a box and exclaimed that this was his prize for today. It turned out that it contained a shotgun from the extraordinary weapon category. Roger immediately grabbed onto him and exclaimed that they were all treating him like a child. Then he will use this meeting and shoot them in the forehead. The young man will find all the developers and shoot at point-blank range. The girl admired what a beautiful back he had. After a while, he reached the camp of the second leader of the Red Sleeves, a town that meant death. It looks majestic and prosperous. In other words, the 3 leaders are so strong that the remaining 2 will probably be even more difficult to deal with. You can't be so straightforward anymore. We'll have to come up with something else. By the way, he sent the little guy to steal some clothes where he still wears it. This little devil is becoming less and less useful each time. Suddenly there was a cry from behind. How did he even dare to attack him? Who sent him? No need to pretend not to hear him. Let him speak, otherwise he will die. Roger completely forgot that the little one is still infancy and is not able to defeat his nimble brothers. He acted carelessly. Then the young man grabbed the shotgun and exclaimed that he should hold on a little longer, because he would save him. As soon as he pointed the weapon at him, a system alert appeared, which informed him that the condition for activating the divine comedy was a strong physique. The guy shouted that he knew how this game could be so friendly. Why can't you give notifications right away? He feels like the last fool after this. Hearing his indignation, the enemy turned sharply and stated that he was an accomplice of this little devil. After the reprisal against him, the guy said that he could not understand what was happening. He has already killed so many monsters with him. Why is there no progress? The gargoyle is still at the original level of combat strength. It turns out that she has not received any experience at all. He doesn't need to kill certain monsters to gain experience, does he? Suddenly, the voice of the enemy was heard, who said that he did not know what his goal was, but Lord Capella was the strongest magician in all the southern hills. He will definitely regret everything he did today. When Roger began to cry and muttered that he had finally found this sorcerer, his opponent declared that it was too late to cry. Let him run away from here now, and maybe he'll still survive. After some time, the Lord was informed that some guy in the main estate was coming here. In less than an hour, all the city's security was destroyed under the sign of death. The man exclaimed, there are also thousands of deadly magical traps. How could he defeat 1,000 soldiers without knowing the location of the traps? Suddenly, a young man appeared who declared that he was not hiding at all and came to him himself. The sorcerer exclaimed that he really saw Roger right in front of him. The guy was surprised how he knew him. Capella responded that he not only single-handedly sabotaged their plan, but also killed the third leader of Appa. How could he not have heard of such adventures? Our hero replied that there is no need to exaggerate. If all goes well, his boss will say his own words again. The man noted that Roger is full of surprises. He knew the guy would come, but he didn't expect to see him so soon. They underestimated him. His plan to attack the main estate was the wrong choice, because this is his end, and he has no other choice. In order to show him the sincerity of his words, he uses his strongest circle. The young man was surprised that he really wasn't such a stingy person. The enemy continued that he had already tied him up, and he would no longer be able to get out. So let him accept his punishment. Now the young man will simply die on the spot and pay in blood for his arrogance. This attack of our hero was amazing. The magical power that hovered around brought him such ease. When the sorcerer stopped, the guy asked why. He replied that not only was he capable of defeating Appa, but also the strongest magic circle could not do anything to him. The young man replied that he was the simplest enemy Roger had ever met. For the short-term pleasure that he gave him today, the guy decided to spare him. The young man simply uses his fist to give back all the freshness it gave him. After a while, a system notification appears that an elite leader had been killed. Now he has a special skill that allows him to increase the level of magical pets.